Family reunions used to make me anxious, but I always powered through for Camilla. She loved being surrounded by her relatives. Cousins gossiping, aunts organizing chaotic potlucks, uncles bragging about fishing trips that probably never happened. I'd smile, bite my tongue, and play along. But this year, everything cracked. It started with Trent, her golden boy brother who somehow had the confidence of a CEO despite never holding a steady job. I was refilling my plate when he walked over, beer in one hand, fake smirk on his face. "Still working that desk job, huh? Bet that pays just enough to keep Camilla from running," he said, voice loud enough to earn a few chuckles from nearby cousins. I stiffened. I wasn't here to be a punchline. At least I'm not asking Dad for another loan. He blinked, laughed, but I saw the twitch in his jaw. It should have ended there, but pride's a stupid thing. He pushed, I pushed harder. Trent leaned closer, reeking of cheap beer and toxic masculinity. Camilla could have done so much better. That did it. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I just said what everyone else whispered when he left the room. About his debt. His second divorce. The time he nearly totaled his car after drinking too much at Grandma's wake. Silence fell like a dropped glass. Camilla turned from the patio table, her eyes wide. "What the hell are you doing?" she snapped. "I'm defending myself." "No, you're embarrassing me." She stormed off. The party continued around me, but the tone shifted. Voices grew hushed when I passed. No one offered me dessert. No one asked me to join poker. By the time the sun dipped behind the trees, I was invisible. And Camilla, she didn't even ride home with me. Took her sister's car, said she needed space. I arrived at our house alone, the front door clicking shut hours later behind her. No words exchanged. That night, she curled away from me in bed, her back cold as frost. I whispered, "I'm sorry," but she didn't respond. The next morning brought no change. She poured her coffee, answered work emails, and scrolled through her phone like I wasn't breathing beside her. I couldn't take the quiet. "You're really not going to talk to me?" She looked up, expression unreadable. "There's nothing to say." "There's everything to say." Her lips curled. "You always make everything about you." That stung. I left for work drowning in thoughts. Our love used to be electric, spontaneous road trips, dancing in the kitchen, whispered dreams at 2 a.m. Now we were strangers occupying shared space. Something in her eyes had changed. I'd noticed it weeks before the reunion. The way she checked her phone more often, lingered longer at the mirror, wore perfume on days she claimed were girls' nights. I ignored the signs. I trusted her. Back home that night, she was gone again. No note. No text. Midnight came. Then 1. When I finally heard her come in around 2, I pretended to be asleep. Her heels clicked across the hardwood like gunshot. She showered quietly. I smelled cologne that wasn't mine. The next few days followed a pattern. Silence, avoidance, and secret. Then came the Thursday evening that changed everything. "I'm going out," she said, grabbing her purse. "Where?" I asked, almost afraid of the answer. She paused. "Don't worry about it." "Camilla." She stared at me, something fierce behind her gaze. "You don't own me." The door slammed behind her. My chest tightened. My hands trembled. I waited 5 minutes before following. Camilla didn't drive far. I kept 2 cars behind her, heart pounding. She pulled into a downtown bar I didn't recognize. Sleek glass, dim lighting, the kind of place you don't go to alone. I parked down the block and walked to the corner, half hidden behind a traffic light pole. She stepped inside and within moments, another figure emerged to greet her. A man, tall, well-groomed, sharp blazer. He smiled like he'd waited all day for her. She smiled back. And then they kissed. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't hesitant. It was hunger. The kind of kiss she hadn't given me in months. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. My heart didn't shatter. It crumbled silently, like old plaster cracking in an abandoned house. They disappeared into the back of the bar, arms around each other. I turned and walked away. That night, I sat in our living room with the lights off, staring at the door until it creaked open at midnight. She crept inside, heels in hand, thinking I was asleep again. I didn't say a word. Neither did she. It was easier, in a sick way, to act like I didn't know. That I hadn't seen her hands tangled in another man's hair. That the woman I loved wasn't turning our marriage into a lie. But deep down, a fire sparked. A quiet one. It didn't burn hot with rage. It burned with hunger. Not for revenge. Not for closure. But for something else. Something forbidden. The next morning, I walked into the coffee shop near my office, and that's when I met Selina. I wasn't looking for anything that morning. Not comfort. Not distraction. Certainly not connection. I just needed caffeine. Something bitter, bold, anything to burn away the aftertaste of betrayal. The cafe on 12th and Greystone had always been quiet, tucked between a florist and an antique bookstore. It had charm. Low jazz, exposed brick walls, handwritten menus. But none of that mattered until I saw her. She stood behind the counter, lips slightly parted, eyes stormy like clouds before rainfall, black hair twisted in a careless bun, faint freckles. Her apron sat loosely on her hips, flowers smudging one side. "Large black?" she asked, nodding at me with mild curiosity. I nodded back, though I hadn't ordered. She smiled. "You look like someone who needs it." Something about her voice, smooth, unrushed, with an undertone of challenge. I blinked, surprised I even noticed. "Rough night?" she asked while pouring. I gave a dry chuckle. "More like a rough life." Her lips twitched, amused. "Aren't we all just trying to get through the week?" When she handed me the cup, her fingers brushed mine, warm, steady, deliberate. I stared longer than I should have. "Name's Selina," she added casually. I hesitated, then replied, "Miles." Something unspoken passed between us. Not flirtation. Not yet. But intrigue. Recognition. Two fractured people who sensed something familiar. Over the next few days, I returned to that cafe every morning. I told myself it was just for the coffee. That's what I said when Camilla asked why I wasn't drinking the free stuff at the office anymore. Selina always greeted me the same way, with a knowing smile and a fresh cup ready before I reached the register. But one morning, she leaned in slightly. "Ever notice how the regulars always order the same thing, but pretend it's spontaneous?" "I guess we're creatures of habit," I said. "You don't strike me as a creature of anything," she replied, eyes narrowing playfully. "You don't know me." Not yet. It should have ended there. But it didn't. That Friday, my company hosted a networking event at a hotel downtown. Camilla didn't even ask what I was doing. She left earlier that night, probably with him. The man with the blazer and the lips she once reserved for me. I couldn't stand going home to an empty marriage. So I went back to the cafe. It was after hours. The lights were off inside, but I saw movement through the back window. I knocked gently, almost embarrassed. Selina opened the side door, apron now gone, denim jacket wrapped around her like armor. "Miles?" she asked, surprise giving way to curiosity. "I was nearby," I lied. She didn't question it. "Come in." I was just cleaning up. Inside, the cafe smelled like cinnamon and faint vanilla. The jazz was louder now, more moody. A Miles Davis record spun slowly behind the counter. We sat near the window. She poured 2 glasses of red wine from a bottle she hadn't bothered to hide. "You always show up at night when the city's asleep?" she asked. "Only when it's easier than being home." She tilted her head. "Let me guess. Troubled marriage, long silences, and someone else's perfume on her neck?" My breath hitched. Selina leaned forward. "I've seen that look before. A man trying to remember who he was before she made him feel small. I don't know who I am anymore." "Then let me help you remember." Her lips tasted like cherry wine and something far older. Longing. Her kiss wasn't a request. It was a demand. Urgent. Fierce. Her hands gripped the collar of my shirt, dragging me closer until my thoughts dissolved completely. We didn't go upstairs. We didn't need candlelight or a king-sized bed. She climbed onto my lap right there, behind the counter, amidst espresso beans and sticky note. Every second with her was a rebellion. She whispered things I hadn't heard in years. You're wanted, you're enough, you're not invisible. My name spilled from her mouth like prayer and promise. The cafe was dark, but in her arms, I felt seen for the first time in months. Afterward, she didn't ask questions. Didn't ask about Camilla. Or guilt. Or consequences. She just ran fingers through my hair and said, "Next time, don't knock." I left before dawn, the sky bleeding purple and orange above Silent Street. I should have felt shame. But all I felt was alive. Camilla was already home. Her shoes by the door. Her purse on the table. She didn't ask where I'd been. She didn't care. Maybe that hurt more than anything. The days blurred. Mornings became something I looked forward to again. Not because of routine, but because Selena existed. Her smirks. Her hands. Her laugh that didn't feel rehearsed. Her questions that didn't feel like traps. At night, I'd lie next to a woman who didn't touch me, who whispered secrets into another man's mouth. But I no longer chased her approval. Selena had awakened something buried, something raw, dangerous, and beautifully reckless. I wasn't trying to get revenge. I was trying to remember who the hell I was before we became nothing. But secrets don't stay hidden. One morning, Camilla watched me sip my coffee and asked, "You're dressing nicer lately. Got someone to impress?" I froze, cup halfway to my lips. She smirked. "Don't worry. I'm not mad. In fact, it's almost convenient." Convenient. She leaned in, her voice a blade cloaked in silk. "We both have needs. And yours clearly aren't being met here." The audacity stunned me. "You knew I was hurting and you chose to hurt me more." She laughed softly. "You started it. At the reunion. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. So you cheated?" She didn't deny it. "You don't love me," she said. "You love the version of me you thought existed." Something inside me shattered again. But this time, it wasn't heartbreak. It was freedom. My wife's confession didn't break me. It untethered something dark and unfamiliar. She knew about Selena. Or at least sensed her. She didn't care. Not in the way a spouse should. Her eyes held no pain, no betrayal, only calculation. "You always thought you were the good guy," Camilla said, twisting her wedding ring slowly. "Turns out you're just like the rest of us." "No," I said, voice low. "I didn't lie. I didn't sneak around. Not until you left me behind." "You think that matters now?" she hissed. "We stopped being real a long time ago, Miles." She wasn't wrong. Somewhere between the endless arguments, the cold dinners, the nights she came home late smelling of hotel soap, I had faded from her life like an old photograph. But now, someone else had developed me again. Selena and I became reckless. Lust burned hotter each time we touched. What started in shadows evolved into something messier, deeper. She brought chaos and calm in equal measure. Her apartment above the bakery smelled like sugar and skin. She left the windows open during thunderstorms and painted her ceiling like a galaxy. One night, after we'd collapsed breathless and bare under tangled sheets, she asked, "You still love her?" I stared at the ceiling. "I don't know. That's not no." I turned toward her. "You want me to lie?" "No," she whispered. "I want you to mean it when you say it's over." But it wasn't over. Not yet. Camilla's mood shifted again the following week. Suddenly, she started cooking dinner. Wearing my favorite perfume. Laughing at shows she used to scoff at. It wasn't love. It was war. A manipulation of routine designed to pull me back into orbit. She kissed my cheek before work, trailed her fingers down my chest, and asked about my day like she hadn't iced me out for weeks. When I didn't flinch, she leaned closer and whispered, "If you want me again, all you have to do is ask." I didn't want her. But I hated that part of me. The bitter, lonely part, still remembered what her touch used to feel like. That weekend, we were invited to another family gathering. Smaller. Just her parents and siblings. I didn't want to go. But Camilla insisted. Come, she said. Act like everything's normal. So I went. Big mistake. Trent greeted me with the same smirk. Didn't think you'd show your face after last time. Camilla chuckled beside me like it was a joke. Her father avoided eye contact. Her mother offered tea, but never conversation. I was back in that same suffocating space, surrounded by people who saw me as disposable. Midway through the evening, Camilla stood behind me, fingers gliding over my shoulders. You know, she said loud enough for everyone to hear, Miles and I have been working on things. I stiffened. Oh, her mother said politely. Camilla nodded. We're reconnecting. Passionately. Lies. Fabrications to maintain a facade of perfect matrimony. Trent snorted into his drink. Hope that passion doesn't come with another public meltdown. Something in me snapped. I stood, grabbed my coat, and walked out without a word. I didn't go home. I went straight to Selina. Her apartment lights were off, but she answered after one knock. No words, just arms. Lit. Nails down my back. That night, we didn't bother undressing slowly. There was no patience, just raw hunger. Later, wrapped in her warmth, she whispered, You don't belong with her. I know. Then why are you still there? I need closure. She looked hurt. Just for a second. Then nodded. Then take it. Or you'll drown in her silence forever. I decided I'd end it. The lies. The false affection. The back-and-forth game. The next evening, I came home to find Camilla in our bedroom, lighting candles. Rose petals. Wine glasses. She stood in black lingerie she hadn't worn in years. What is this? I asked. Her smile was sharp. A reminder of what we used to be. You think this fixes everything? No, she said, walking closer. But maybe it'll remind you what you're throwing away. She kissed me, slow and purposeful. Her hands reached for my belt. And for a moment, just one, I let it happen. The lust. The history. The temptation to rewind time. But I couldn't. Selina's face appeared in my mind. Her truth. Her eyes that didn't manipulate, only wanted. I pulled away. Camilla stared, confused. You're really going to throw this away for some barista? She's not just some barista. And I'm not just your wife. I'm the woman who stood beside you when no one else would. No, I said. You're the woman who stood beside me, until someone better came along. That hit. She didn't speak. Neither did I. I packed a bag and left. Selina opened her door in a robe, hair wet, mascara faint beneath her eyes. She looked at the duffel on my shoulder, then me. Is this what I think it is? I nodded. She didn't say anything. She just stepped aside and let me in. I dropped the bag, pulled her close and whispered, You were right. Her breath caught. About what? I don't love her. Selina's hands cupped my face. And me. I don't know what this is yet. She kissed me once, soft, slow. Then let's find out. Moving in with Selina should have felt like liberation. A reset. A clean slate. But passion isn't peace. Lust doesn't erase bruises left behind by years of emotional neglect. It masks them, wraps them in silk, kisses over them until they pulse beneath the surface. The first few weeks with her were euphoric. I woke up to the scent of fresh coffee and bare skin. We laughed over burned toast, danced under moonlight to records that popped and cracked. She'd fall asleep with her head on my chest, murmuring about the bakery's future and maybe, one day, ours. But in quiet moments, doubt crept in. Not about her. About me. What if I wasn't capable of lasting love anymore? Camilla didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't even try to stop me. I expected anger. Tears. At least a screaming match on the front porch. But nothing. Until an envelope arrived 2 weeks later, hand-delivered to Selina's bakery. Inside was a single sheet of paper, divorce document. Signed. Neat. Clean. Final. No notes. No explanation. Just her signature, as elegant and cold as her goodbye. Selina read it over my shoulder. That's it. That's it. You okay? Shouldn't I be? She watched me carefully. Sometimes the quietest goodbyes cut deepest. That night I couldn't sleep. I got up, went to the kitchen, and poured whiskey into the chipped mug she always used for cocoa. Selina joined me, barefoot, wearing nothing but a tank top and my old t-shirt. Her hair was messy, eyes foggy with sleep. You still think about her, she said. I think about what she turned me into. Selina sat across from me. You don't have to prove anything. Not to me. I need to prove something to myself. She nodded. Then do it. The next day I returned to my old house. Not to beg. Not to reminisce. Just to see it one last time. Camilla wasn't home, but the place was unlocked. I stepped inside and found the living room untouched, like a paused scene from a life I no longer lived. The throw pillows still arranged, just how she liked. A framed photo of us at Niagara Falls still sat on the shelf. But on the coffee table sat another envelope. Curiosity pulled me to open it. Inside, I found a printed email thread. Between Camilla and Selina. My heart sank. I read every word. It started 2 months ago, before Selina and I ever crossed that line. Camilla had contacted her anonymously, posing as a customer, testing her. Asking loaded questions. Getting close. Selina answered kindly, professionally. Then, Camilla escalated. She mentioned a husband. Described me vaguely. Called me fragile. Called me easy. And Selina, God, she responded. At first gently. Then curiously. Then willingly. They'd been playing me. Camilla set a trap. Selina walked me into it. I dropped the pages, nausea climbing my throat. A photo fluttered from the stack. Taken with a zoom lens. Me. With Selina. Laughing. Kissing. Half undressed behind the bakery. I staggered backward. Everything felt manufactured. Camilla's coldness. Selina's warmth. Their silence. Their timing. A setup. A scheme. Was it revenge? Spite? Some cruel psychological experiment? I rushed outside, heart pounding, truth unraveling. I didn't go to the cafe. I couldn't. Selina found me the next day sitting on a park bench near the lake. She approached slowly, holding a coat and 2 coffees. I figured you'd see it eventually. I didn't look at her. Was any of it real? Her silence cut sharper than any answer. It started as a joke, she said at last. A petty request from a bitter woman who wanted to see you fall apart. I turned to her. And you helped. I didn't know you. You were just a name. A challenge. But then you walked in. Don't. She reached for my hand. It stopped being fake. I swear. Somewhere between the second espresso and our first kiss, Don't say love. She blinked. Why not? Because you don't destroy people you love. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't destroy you. She already did. I stood up. No. You just finished the job. Weeks passed. Selina sent messages. I ignored them. Camilla filed everything neatly, professionally. She didn't want the house. Or money. Just finality. Her final message, a handwritten card, arrived with no return address. It read, We both knew we stopped being real long ago. I just wanted you to feel what I felt every time you came home and looked through me. You made me invisible. She made you feel seen. Fair trade. Goodbye, Miles. You were never the villain. Just lost. You. I burned the card. Eventually, I moved out of town. Started fresh. No bakery visit. No fancy parties. No high-rise offices. Just a small apartment near the water, a job fixing boats, and a dog named Leo who liked my quiet company. I don't date much. People flirt. Ask questions. I smile and nod, but keep my distance. Because the truth is, I still think about both of them. The woman who broke me. And the woman who rebuilt me, only to break me again. But that's the thing about lust and betrayal. They don't kill you. They brand you. And every time I look in the mirror, I see the scars.